So how do you feel about boundaries? It's a legitimate question. A lot of people come to me really struggling with this concept. They often feel guilty for setting boundaries, or they're not sure about even what a boundary is. They've heard the term, set the boundary, things like that, but that's really confusing for them because it's not something that's well taught in our society nowadays, right? They know that boundaries are really important to having healthy, constructive, supportive, and wonderful relationships, but why? And oftentimes they also know that they feel like their boundaries are being violated, but they can't quite pinpoint what the boundary is that's being violated. That's why I've created the Clarifying and Creating Your Boundaries free PDF. You can find out what your boundaries are, how to tune in to what the boundary needs to be, and how to effectively create and communicate your boundary so that way you stay in this place that respects you, respects the other person, but also gives you the confidence in your boundaries so that way you stop being gaslighted, disrespected, and unseen. Having your boundaries really clear gives you a voice and also helps the other person stay in accountability with themselves. So that's not a role that you have to take on anymore. So if you are ready to really have clear boundaries, to really understand what your role is in the boundary, and to give yourself some safety and some protection against people that might try to gaslight you or are just being disrespectful, go grab my Creating and Clarifying Your Boundary PDF at erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. And while you're there, let's schedule a call with me. Come have a chat with me so that way I can really, really help you master this particular skill, creating boundaries, clarifying the boundary, communicating that boundary, and so that way I can also help you have relationships that show up to support you, cherish you, and love you.
Hey everyone, it's Erin Anderson with the Erin Anderson Betrayal Trauma Coaching. I am super excited that you have tuned in today. Let's get talking about how to heal from betrayal trauma. Welcome to the other side of the struggle. This is a podcast where we talk about trauma, how to heal it, and then how to take it and use it to unlock your mission and your potential, and to use it to live your very best dream life. When you're dealing with betrayal trauma, it can be hard to know how to heal it, how to stop the pain, and to know what your next steps are to take in your own life. And these are the questions that we try to answer here. Trauma has the ability to rob us of our joy and identity, which is why it's so miserable to experience. But with the right tools and with the right mindset, we can totally reclaim that joy and even use this trauma to strengthen ourselves so that way trauma does not knock us off of our joy again. Living your dream life should be a non negotiable, but trauma tends to try to negotiate that with you. And even though trauma is not something that we will completely ever be free of in our life, the pain is negotiable. This is why I created Erin Anderson Betrayal Trauma Coaching and this podcast, is because I want my listeners, I want my clients to live, truly live free from the prison that trauma can put you in. I want you to live on the other side of the struggle.
Hey, my loves, welcome back to the last episode of The Other Side of the Struggle. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that we're actually here at this point. Kind of sad, honestly. But I'm really excited for what's coming up because I really truly am moving into the Boundary Boss Babes. That podcast by this point should be up and running in all of your favorite places. So wherever you're listening to the other side of the struggle, you should be able to find the Boundary Boss Babes podcast as well. And the benefit to the new podcast, like you're going to learn about like all types of relationships and healing from trauma in this particular podcast, which is great. But if you're really ready to start earning your own money and taking like the information you have and shifting it, and changing the way you actually believe about your relationship so you can create money in your life, then the Boundary Boss Babes podcast is for you. Because that's what we're going to be focusing on. I really do have a love for women not only healing from trauma, but also creating their own money and creating a life, a sustainable life for themselves and their children. So here's what I want to say to you in my last episode. It's actually about creating your own money. Because I hear a lot of times, especially from like, moms whose husbands have been less than faithful or possibly in abusive situations or in some way in some way they're being hurt. And I get this question a lot, like I don't feel, or this objection, I should say a lot, like I don't feel like I can move forward because I'm tied to him financially. So my loves, I get where you're coming from, okay? Women love feeling taken care of, and I love feeling taken care of too. And I love knowing, but I'll tell you, I love knowing that I can actually get and create money more than I like the idea of being taken care of, because if something ever happened to my husband, whether we ever did divorce or if maybe he died or just maybe he became disabled, I think it's really important that women have their own income streams. So that way, if something like that ever does happen to their husband and their husband's ability to provide, then we're still okay. And especially, you need to be able to make your own decisions. I know there's a lot of you that have wanted to work with me and now Stephanie, who's taking over, the title Betrayal Trauma Coach. And money has been a big issue for you guys. And I want to tell you that, number one, come listen to the Boundary Boss Babes podcast, because that's really seriously why I'm moving into that, okay? Because I know how much that is needed. But there are so many ways for you guys to earn at least $2,000 or more a month online. Now, $2,000 a month isn't going, in today's society, isn't going to do much for you. I get that. You might even say that, and you might even say $2,000 a month isn't going to give me the ability to purchase coaching and getting out of this. But what I am going to tell you is this is the age of making money online. You can actually thank COVID-19 for that, because so many things actually had to go online to be able to operate properly. there's lots and lots and lots of online jobs now, so you can actually still be home with the kids and create some money. Some of those things are, and you can actually find them on Pinterest. And maybe what I need to do is I need to probably unblock this particular piece out of my Pinterest, if you're following me on Pinterest. By the way, like total squirrel here. I'll be going to Erin Anderson coaching. So if you still want to follow me, all of my things will be rebranded to Erin Anderson coaching. Just a little caveat there. But, and I'll be that. I'm on Erin Anderson official on Instagram, and then I'll be Erin Anderson official or Erin Anderson coaching as well on Pinterest. Still working through all of the rebranding cogs. But back to the earning the money thing. Okay, there are places online that will pay you to read books. Maybe you decide to become a blogger. Now, if that's the case, please, please, please start writing about something positive. Maybe it's about gardening. Maybe it's about raising chickens. Maybe it's about baking. Like, what are you passionate about? Start blogging about it. A lot of bloggers, not at the very beginning, like give yourself some time, but a lot of bloggers are making, I know some that have made 6 figures in 1 month with their blog, and they're making easily 7 or 8 figures at this point blogging. Okay. You can get paid to read books, ghostwriting, if you're good at that kind of a thing, getting an Etsy shop, writing speeches or articles and sending them into certain magazines. My point here, and there's so many more. There's so many more. The point is you have to get started on it. Okay? I get where you're at. When I started coaching 12 years ago, 12 years, guys, I was in a place, actually, I was in this place more than 12 years ago, probably actually from the get-go of my marriage. Especially from when I started having children, because when I first got married, I was going to school to become an elementary teacher. And I loved it, you guys. Like, I loved the kids. I loved teaching. It was such a passion for me. But I gave up my teaching career so I could stay home and raise my children that I now have 6 of, right? My oldest is now 17, right? At this point, I should say. And so easily 17 years ago, I started realizing that without my teaching income, we were struggling. But nobody was paying me to raise my son. All right, my loves, I have some exciting news. Have you been really ready to put your trauma behind you, to understand your divine mission and purpose, to see how God sees you, and to see what you can actually put out into the world besides what is coming at you? Are you really ready for a major change and a major shift? If you are, I've got some really exciting news for you. August 3rd, 2024, I will be one of the many speakers speaking at the Divine Daughter event in Utah. You can go to My Divine Joy, that's capital My, M-Y, capital Divine, D-I-V-I-N-E, capital Joy, Joy.com, mydivinejoy.com, to get your tickets now. Come learn about how to heal from your betrayal trauma. Come learn how to heal life, how to take your emotions and make them into a masterpiece of intelligence, to pick up the pieces of your shattered life and to see God's hand in all of it, to finally make sense of why this is happening to you and the message that you have in all of it. If you're ready to make the major change, go grab your tickets, mydivinejoy.com, and come see us for this massive, fantastic one-day event. And of course, come say hi while you're there. mydivinejoy.com. And so I really started having a bit of a problem because money was so incredibly tight. And back then, the internet, like making money online, wasn't as profitable now as what it was back then. So I started asking myself, okay, so what is it that I can do right now that will keep me home with my son so I can raise him, but also start bringing in some money? Because, guys, I was legit struggling to buy diapers for my son. I was legit struggling to buy baby food. And there were times where I would make sure my husband and my son was fed, and I would go the entire day without eating, and then the next day with only one meal because I was so worried about money. Okay. So I started asking myself, what could I do? And so one of the things I started writing a list. Well, I started looking for like what some of the needs were in my community, and one of the things I noticed was that there was a need for like cards for baptisms and blessings, because I live in a very predominantly LDS community, right? And there just wasn't really any cards for people to go buy where they could something cute that they could give to people. And so I decided I was going to go get the materials and start making cards. And one of the feedbacks I got was, well, that's just really freaking expensive. And so I started creating more of like a mini scrapbook for blessings and for baptisms, and started selling them instead. And what ended up happening is I started making enough, like easily enough to cover diapers and a little more food. And I started making like almost $300 extra a month just doing that, right? And then I take some of that money and I'd go back and rebuy supplies. And so I just kind of started a little side business for myself. When my second son came around, I found it necessary to go out and get a substitute teaching job. And that brought in roughly about $500 or $600 a month. And that after I started having more kids, I started realizing that either I was going to have to start paying for daycare, which would have taken everything I made, so that was kind of pointless, or I'd have to start staying home again and figuring out another way to earn money. And so I started looking into other options, and I started into network marketing with doTERRA, actually. I really loved the oils. I loved what I was getting from the oils and the benefits I'd get from the oils. Our health had improved, our mentalities had improved, and I felt like I was able to help my family be more healthy with them. So I started doing classes on essential oils, and I started learning all I could about the essential oils and started teaching other people about them. And I started building a downline, and that brought in for a while almost $1,000 a month. And then I realized that I really loved leadership. I loved leading my team. I loved helping them solve problems. I loved teaching them. And so I started my coaching business, and that's bringing in anywhere like I've made anywhere from five to $10,000 a month at this point, and it's easily bringing in a consistent 5,000 a month right now. And so, and it's still growing, it's still building, and it's because I started looking for possibilities. Okay. Now, I don't tell you what I'm making to like flaunt anything. It's more or less to show you that there are so many possibilities out there when you start working with your passions and the things that you really do love. I was passionate about I'm still passionate about crafting and artistry. I love being artistic. I love having fun. I love painting. I love drawing. I love these things. Um, I love singing. I actually have been paid a couple of times to come and sing for people. I love writing music. I've made a little money off of my songs. Um, I have made money off of teaching tools. I've made money. Oh, I also did teach online for a while too. There is that. I forgot about that aspect. And I was making a good $2,500 a month doing that. Um, And this is just my point, my loves. I didn't have to ever leave. Well, that's not true. I did leave the comfort of my home when I was substitute teaching. Um, but when I realized that I really needed to be home still with my kids, most of what I've made has been from the comfort of my home. Now that my coaching business is growing and my children are a lot older and they're able to be a lot more sufficient for themselves and help their younger siblings, my goodness, um, where they're not as self-sufficient. Um, Now my I'm able to get out and go do more things and help more people and uh get in front of people a little bit more. And I've been doing speaking events. I've been promoting in person a lot more, which has actually built my business again more. Um, Another thing I could do is I could I could start coaching teachers how to build an online business, a successful, thriving online teaching business. I could, coach parents on how to help their kids with their math, their learning. I could write a homeschool program, for crying out loud. Like there's so many things that I could do that I'm passionate about that will bring in income. Now you might say to me, no, what about time? Leveraging your time. Well, yeah. Right now for me, like coaching, you and in like boundaried boss babes now, right? That's taking up a lot of my time plus my family, right? But if I wanted to put together some sort of an online program to help teachers become better online teachers, or parents like with their homeschooling and helping their kids understand, or even in school, like understanding math, reading, science, like actually how to teach these things so your kids feel confident in their learning. Like I know how to do that. And I could totally put together a program. My point here is yes, leverage your time, but start asking yourself, what could you do? And take one thing and start running with it. Because my loves, if you want freedom, Financial freedom is going to be a piece of this. You need to have your own money. Money that helps you make sure that you are taken care of and that your kids are taken care of. Money that helps you, buy into the things that you need to buy into to get you the results you want. It's so important. If you want to feel more relaxed, more feminine, not feeling like you're like you have to actually rely on, your husband or your mom and your dad for money, you've got to decide what it is you want to do and start taking action on that. Well, my loves, this is the last episode of The Other Side of the Struggle. Now, if you're really ready to run and start taking action on not only healing your relationships, healing your trauma, but also start creating some serious money for yourself, come join me in the Boundaried Babes oh my gosh, the Boundaried Boss Babes podcast. Let me totally slaughter that for you. Come join me there. The link is now also in the descriptions below. And for those of you that, are still just processing trauma, that's okay. Eventually come join me over in the Boundaried Boss Babes. But I still love you. I have loved serving you for the last 3 years. This podcast is 3 years old, guys, almost. And I've loved being here and being a supportive voice for you. Please feel free. This podcast isn't going anywhere. I'm just not adding new episodes to this particular podcast. I really want to focus on the Boundaried Boss Babes. This podcast is going to stay here, still to support you because I love you. And feel free to also text this podcast any questions. Stephanie Wilden, she's the one that's taking over the title, like I said, of the Boundaried. Oh my gosh. Too many B's, you guys. The Betrayal Trauma Coach. And she will be in touch with you to help answer any questions that you may have, or you are also welcome to schedule with her, and her link will be in the description below on how to schedule a call with her. My loves, you're fabulous, you're wonderful, you deserve so many good things. And I promise you, they're just at your door. You just gotta open it. Signing off for the last time. I'll see you on the other side. Bye, guys. Okay, so I've got a question for you. Have you joined my free Facebook group or Instagram page yet? If you haven't, go and do that. And this is the reason why. I always post my freebies, updated information, and all kinds of goodies for my community in that page. I'm also really active. I post videos, I answer questions. So if you guys really, really want to get in and interact with me, go like me on Facebook, go join my group, The Other Side of the Struggle, Healing from Betrayal Trauma. Come find me on Instagram, Erin Anderson, Betrayal Trauma Coach, and come follow me because I always have something good there just for you, my audience, and I love connecting with you there. I also post anytime that I have groups going on. I talk sometimes about my programs. So if you guys are interested in working with me or even just following me and getting as much free content as you possibly can, go hang out in my group. Go connect with the ladies that are there. Also come and join Immune and Unashamed for those married couples that are following me, because in that group, me and my business partner, Kyson Kidd, are also talking and offering some great content.
Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today and listening in on this podcasting episode. Don't forget to tune in next week